I'm just a real emotional when I watch this because I can see it, just like you could see it. And when I look at these clothes, I love being here. I love hanging out with friends. I love coming to church. I love my family. I love my friends. But this is what I long for. I long to be clothed in his glory and be at the finale. And so when I watch this, it's just like God gives us these little hints on the earth. He gives us hints through our children. When they're babies, when they're growing up, we see his love through that. We see his love when we feel the wind. We feel him when we're in church and we feel his presence. Can you imagine, though, when we're going to get to the place where all those feelings come into one and they never go away? So I long for this. So I want to leave you with this. This paper, you might not see it, but it's everywhere. Everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, there they are. It says casting call. There's a new show on the horizon. Come as you are. I'm so glad I was able to come to him where I was, because I never thought anybody would want to use me at any capacity when I first came to Jesus. It says, meet us at the tent, the dwelling place, the presence of God. The forgotten, the lonely, the broken, and the misfits are welcomed. I don't know about you, but that covers all of me. And so what that says to you is, have you taken this paper? Have you seen that you are a part of a family? And not just a family that is temporary, a family that's going to go walk in eternity together. Because we've been practicing. What we're doing here in this room when we come into church is we're dress rehearsing with him. We're practicing with him. His presence, his glory, serving, being in the house, having a family of choice. We are practicing so that when we get there, we know what we're doing. And every day that you see these papers, there's also this. And this is laying here because he isn't wearing it anymore. He already wore this. And while he wore it, he gathered who he needed to gather. And then he said, now it's your turn. It's your turn. And no, you're not going to have to die that painful death that I died, because I did that so you would never have to do that again. But now I need you to put this on, and I need you to gather some people. And look at, when you come into this place, look at how they've gathered. They did their job. They gathered. And we're supposed to do our job. It's not just about bringing them into church. It's when we're outside of these walls. And that's when we go out and we tell them, and then we bring them in and get them equipped to be ready for the dress rehearsal. And so many times I remember in my life, there's that jacket, and I kept walking by it like, I'm not ready. I don't know if I can do that. Look at me, God, I'm this misfit. I have this horrible past. And I kept walking by that jacket. How many of you wake up in the morning and you're still walking by it? Listen, he needs us to be a part of the show. And I think one of the things that starts to happen, if someone can bring me out one of those mirrors, is like I said before, the reason we're in this situation, and I'm not going to talk about politics or nation, but what I'm going to say is because we're listening to the wrong narration. When we make it, and I know you can't really see with this mirror very good, it's been traveling a long time. When you make it about you, you start worrying about the kingdom here. There's a kingdom to come, and we're supposed to build it on this earth. So when we get the mentality, the enemy comes out, and all he does is put this right in front of you all the time. All the time. Look in there, Michelle. It's about you. It's about you. All your issues, all your problems. You need to feel good. This marriage is about you. Your kids are about you. Everything's about you. This church is about you. Don't they recognize you? Don't you see? You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to. It all becomes about this. And what happens is when we make it about us, we forget about the we. And what happens when it's always about us, that's when this comes in. Confusion, depression, all of the things you're feeling, the anger, the doubt. Because if the enemy can make it about you, you'll never make it about him. If the enemy can make it about you, it's not about you. It's about him. These characters, they say if you write any books or films, that so much of what you write is really what you deal with and about you. These characters are all a little bit of me. And I think a little bit of some of you in here. I could have probably had 42 characters lined up with all the multiple personalities that I've had and the things I've been through, but I chose 5. that would cover the gamut. When I think about these characters, I just fall in love with them every time because I'm on the other side. For some of us, this girl, we know gypsies as the crystal ball and needing the information, and people come to her looking for information. And I think back in my life of all the times, I didn't live, going to tell my age here, I'm in the age where we didn't even have a cell phone growing up. It was an answer machine. You had to listen to all the messages you didn't want to listen to until you got the one you did want to listen to. You had to use a rotary phone. Do you guys know what that is? Rotary phone. Say it with me. So there's information. We have it. I just watched my kid. One of them asked for this Alexa. They talk to her. What's this? What's that? This thing talks back to them. We're in this age of information where we can just ask something, Google something, look up something. Look about somebody you don't even know on their Instagram and Facebook. You can just find out. The age of information. But really, we're looking in the wrong places because the information comes from one source, from one script. And so through all that, I was getting crazy information back in the day. I'd go to the horoscope, I'd go to my friends, I'd look to boys, I'd look to this. And even my own father, who I love so much, and I want to honor and respect him in this moment. And he's a part of the show right now, getting everything ready. But he said to me, starting as a little girl, he served in World War II. He was very old. So if he was alive today, I think I get this right. He was born in 1916. So that makes him what? 104? Something like that. Yeah. 105. Wow, if my dad was alive today. He was very bitter, very angry, and he came to me starting as a little girl, and he would take me to Bob Evans. You ever heard of Bob Evans? He'd sit across from me and eat his country fried steak, and he would say, look at my eyes. I need you to promise me you're never going to have babies, you're never going to have kids. And then he would lay out the pictures of the cleanup. He was a part of the cleanup of World War II. And he would show me the heads blown off and people going in the incinerators and naked bodies that were being pulled out of the ground. And he said, this is going to happen to you because Jesus is coming back and you're going to have to go through some stuff. Don't get married. Don't have kids. Promise me. Those pictures started at 8 years old. The information I was getting was a little scattered, so I started looking in places like that. Is that really going to happen? Are we going to be taken away? All these things that just messed with my mind. And then there's some of you in here today, you actually have one of these. We just can't see it. You walked in down the stairs with it. For me, this was a big thing as being an only child with a mom and dad 38 years apart in marriage, not having any siblings, and having a dad that was very, very angry. My dad loved me so much, he would never do anything to me, but he took everything out on my mother. To wake up my mom in the morning, he would get up with a bucket of ice and he'd pour it on her head. That's how he woke her up every morning. Till I finally got old enough and bold enough to lay on top of her so he wouldn't do it. My dad would abuse my mom verbally. He would call her names anywhere we'd go. We'd be in church because they would take us to church, or take me and my mom to church. We'd go to church. He would verbally abuse her in front of people. If we would go out to eat, she would order her food. He would stop her mid-sentence and look at the waiter and say, isn't she such an idiot? Listen to her. Abuse, abuse, abuse. One time she gave him just a slight look in the bathroom, and I knew by the backing up of him that he was going to pick her up and throw her in the bathtub, and I went right between him and went in the bathtub with her. We both knocked our head back. Pretty intense situation. But what happens is, as a little girl, you start carrying this with you. Nobody can see it, but it's there. One time we were out at a party. My mom got a really fancy dress, got all dolled up. It looked so beautiful. Kids were allowed to come to the party. I was at the party, and she was out by the pool with her friends, talking, looking so amazing. And I knew in one moment, because she was talking to another gentleman, that my dad was going to be on the rampage. And in that moment, I could see him across from the pool at this beautiful estate, and he ran over on the other side of the pool and picked her up and threw her in, just to mortify her and mortify everybody around there and embarrass her. So this thing just started getting really heavy. So because of that, in comes this girl. It only started with one, but then I would realize there's 2 and 3 and 20 and 30, and these things were filled with venom and poison. Because when you have to carry that around and you have wrong information and you are listening to the wrong narrative and you're carrying a weight that you don't know what to do with, all of a sudden this girl comes into play. And man, if you even got close to me, the anger, the rage, the wall, the hardened heart, that was right there waiting for you. I didn't know at that time that if I just let Jesus, he would come pick out every one of them for me. But I left them there to protect me, so no one would ever do to me what my dad did to my mom. And when you're that age, And you start growing up with that. And then my dad started declining and going into Alzheimer's, and no one knew about it. So I'd find him in various situations. He would get lost. All of the things before I was 18 years old. All of a sudden, I'm like, man, this tightrope, like I knew there was a call. You know there's a call. You feel the call. There's something that draws you in, but yet we don't want to make the choice because of the situation or the circumstances. And so I'd be on this tightrope walking all the time, trying to find my balance of what to do and how to do it, watching my life fall apart in front of me till one day when I was 18, I started going to the hospital every night till they kept me. Because I couldn't balance any longer, because I didn't have Jesus and I hadn't picked up the jacket yet, until finally the doctor looked at my mom and said, you've been here like the last 2 weeks every night. She's at the wrong hospital. Take her to the one down the street, the psychiatric one, and get her evaluated. And then from there, over. I was locked up in my house for 6 months, did not leave my room. I was so much in psychosis. People had to taste my food for me before I would eat it because I thought people were trying to poison me. Talk about wrong narrative. Talk about allowing all these things to happen and not seeing this and not seeing my casting call. So I get locked up in a room, having people taste my food on so many pills and medicated that I couldn't come down off a panic attack, OCD, schizophrenia, hearing voices, all of the above. But yet I'm like, okay. So when I finally came out of that situation, which took so long, just to get out of my room, just to get in the car, just to drive around the street, just to drive across the bridge, months and months and months and months of passing out, throwing up, getting up, trying again, passing out, throwing up, getting up, and trying it again. But when I came out, then I was like, okay, I don't want anybody to know all the stuff I've been through. I got to perform. We got to perform. We got to be perfect in this, because I don't want anybody to think that I don't have it together, because I know I got to do something with my life and all of these things. And all of a sudden, the perfect ballerina steps in. Some of you walked in with this outfit on today because you don't want anybody here to know what's going on, especially if you're in leadership, or especially if you've got to look a certain way to your kids or be a certain way. You're walking in with this perfect persona, but on the inside is a mess. God is here today to say, I have a casting call for you. I have a jacket for you. I have a place for you. And you've been wondering, I don't think I have that place because I've gone through that and more. And Patrick, if you could come out, I want to leave you with this. It got to the point, which many of you in here have this story, you just haven't told anybody. It got to a point one night where I just took the medicine. My parents happened to leave me just for a little bit. And I got on my knees. I remember what the carpet looked like. I remember what it smelled like. And I put the pills one by one around for every reason I wanted to die. And I went in my fridge, and there was this high C drink with a Ghostbusters logo on it. I can still see it today. And I began to take one, take two, not knowing I had a call, not knowing there was a part, not knowing this was just the dress rehearsal, until all of a sudden, literally, I don't even remember what pill it was. As I lifted my hand, boom. Not knowing he had been there the whole time, not knowing he was like, it's just right there. Just touch it, Michelle. It's right there. I've done it for you. Just pick it up. There he was. And I could audibly, almost physically feel him stop me and say, just say yes, Michelle. Just say yes. I will do this. Say yes, and I will do the rest. And that is the moment. In that moment, I began to pick up my jacket. Did I put it on yet? No, but I held it close. And I held it tight. You don't have to help me get up in these shoes. Okay. So in this moment, as we close off, I have some questions I want to ask. Number one is, what costume are you wearing as you're rehearsing? You know, when you know Jesus and you say yes to the dress, you say yes to the marriage, you say yes to the jacket, all of a sudden you get some new clothes on. You don't wear your old stuff. You don't wear that jacket of bitterness. You don't wear that jacket of heaviness. I don't wear my depression and my anxiety and all the labels they gave me. There was so much that went on that time. I could tell you 23 labels I was labeled with. I had to take that off and put on some new costuming. Secondly is, what lighting are you standing in? If the spotlight is on you, you're in the wrong light. There's only one star to this show coming up, and that's Jesus. He calls us in to be the supporting cast. But the enemy, yes, What the enemy does is he keeps taking the spotlight off him and putting it on you. Spotlight off, put on you. And so when you get in the spot, that's where some of you want to move forward with how many followers you have, or you want to move forward with, listen, finances, this is everything Josh said was 100% true. What I'm saying, though, is if you flip the narrative on that, that's where you're going to get in a sad place. You don't know where your treasure is. So right there, I would ask you, the only light you can have is the sun, S-O-N, Jesus. You've got to get the spotlight off of you onto him, and then you'll see all the incredible people that you need to go gather for your team. Thirdly is, do you know your script? The script has been given. It's the word of God. Do you know the script? And what's awesome is off the side script is your story. I was given a story, but I kept over and over and over allowing the enemy come in and go, scratch that, you're a psycho, you're crazy, you're gonna kill yourself because nobody needs you. So all of a sudden I gave him my little script that was meant for me and let him change the narrative. There is one script, the Bible. You have a story. You need to know who wrote that script for you. And you need to hold tight to that and never let anybody come in and erase or add to what he's put in place. And lastly, do you know the director? Because it isn't you. Some of you are wanting to conduct and orchestrate and direct your life, and that is why you are in the place you're in. There is one director. One director. One likes to be the director. That's why he got kicked out of heaven. Because he thought, well, I like that director's chair over there. And that's when God said, no. And he was banished to the earth. And ever since then, he's trying to gather his own cast. If you look around, you'll find them. But right now, you need to know the one true director. Josh, can you do me a favor and hand me one of those tickets really quick? So this would be the last thing, and I'm done for sure, is this. This you can get on Amazon, $19. This isn't going to be the thing that you say, God, here's my ticket. But the ticket, once you know the director, you know your ticket in. His name is Jesus. That's it. You can't come to that door, that narrow door at the end of your life and go, well, this is how many followers I have, and this is my resume, and this is my bank account, and I serve this much at church. No. The Bible says that so many people are going to come to Jesus and be like, but I did this in your name, and I cast out demons in your name, and I went there and did it, and he's going to be like, I don't know you. Where's your ticket? Some of you need to truly know, if you know the director, you're going to know who holds the ticket. Some of you have grabbed the ticket in the past. But what I would ask of you, if you have a ticket, you will see a change. When you know Jesus, I'm not sitting in my room anymore, pumped up on medication, having people taste my food, all of those things. I'm not there anymore because when I gave my ticket and I said, this is the one I want, it's him and him alone. I say yes to the jacket. I walk in, I grab my casting papers, everything changed. So my question to you is, if you have the ticket, is there change? Some of you are like, I've got my ticket. Well, then here's the next question I would ask you. The ticket isn't just to know Jesus. There's things that come when you know Jesus. It's called access. It's called healing. It's called deliverance. It's called restoration for your marriage. It's called protection in this season. So maybe you're like, I know who he is. I have my ticket. Okay, have you used the access been given to you? So many people know Jesus and they go to the door, but they're trying to fidget with the door because they don't understand the inheritance and that they have been called to have all access with him. All access means all access. That means all the stuff he can give freely, he gives to you. So, what costume? What lighting? What script? And know the director. I get emotional because I think about if I would have just looked at that casting call that one day and been like, don't you know the things I've walked through in my past? Don't you know I tried to take my life? Don't you know they labeled me and put me in the outfit and I sat there and I wouldn't leave my room? Don't you know? I was afraid of everything. If I'd hear a noise or there was so much fear in my life that tried to paralyze me. Don't you know? He said, I know. And you're the exact girl for the show. You're the exact guy for the show. Some of the strong men in here, Some of you that are trying to walk the line, stop trying to walk the line and give him the umbrella and let him take control. So today, as we stand up all together, I want to ask you a question. Do you have your ticket? You can put your ticket in your phone. You can put your ticket in your Bible. Online audience, if you're watching, make yourself a ticket. Get a crown, get some lipstick, and make yourself a ticket. You need a ticket. But today I want you to remember that you know your director and you've had access. So as Arthur plays, we're just going to take a moment to grab a ticket. There's no pressure, but what I would say is if I told you there's $1 million laying here, you would run. But I have something that lasts longer than $1 million. I have something that gets you to the eternity show, the big show, not just the practice. If you need healing, I believe not the ticket's going to do it, but it's your understanding of what the ticket offers through Jesus and the access he gives you is what you need to get today. So before people come forward, I'm just going to pray a prayer, and I would love everybody to say it together, because if you haven't found out who the director is, I want you to say this prayer with me. Everybody just say out loud, Jesus, I give you my life. I give you my heart. Thank you for dying on the cross for my sins so that one day I could be with you forever. That's all it is. But from there, find out what access you have. Find out the incredible things that are available backstage at the show. Thank you for the opportunity to tell our story. I pray that it's so sunk in deep that when you see things and you recollect things, or you see the enemy trying to play his hand at you, you'll be like, no, I got my ticket, son. I got the jacket on. Do you not see? Do you not see what I'm wearing? Those are the things you need to remember. So, Arthur, can you play so we can invite people up to grab a ticket? Make sure to get one. Make sure you know your director, and make sure you know your access.
Come to the end of yourself. Do you thirst for a drink from the well? Jesus is calling. He's calling. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was born with the precious blood of Jesus Christ.
Man, this is a good moment, you know? Like, some of you, you're just like vibing right now and you're feeling this. This is good. This is what church is all about. You turn your TV on today, you're not going to feel this way. You know, getting the ticket thing and all that is a physical representation of what's happening in your life right now. Is we're moving from one place to another. We're getting a level of access we didn't know we have. Some of you, like, usually get your power back. Like, oh, quit playing. Quit acting like you don't have any power. Like God put you on the earth for such a time as this with a reason and a purpose. And man, like, here's the thing. Like, we all go through stuff. That's human. That's part of living this life on this side of eternity. This is why the church matters. Because the church is people that are doing life together, following Jesus, trying to figure it out. Like, you are not coming to a place. Like, you're going to meet somebody, they're going to be like, I've been here 15 years. And you're going to go, you've been here 15 years? You're that dysfunctional? Yes, you're going to meet them. You know why? Because this thing ain't easy. Like, it's not easy. The easiest thing you'll ever do is say, I want to follow Jesus. The rest of it, man, I need a lot of great friends. Because, you know, so like you need to, like some of y'all are like, man, my marriage is a mess. Like, come to our marriage class, you're going to see a bunch of messes in marriage and go, man, like, all right, we're not that bad. Like, we're sitting at this table. That person's our marriage, you know, coach. And man, like, we can help you. For real. I mean, maybe not. I hope not. But like, we want to rally around you as a church. Like, you might feel like you got nobody right now. You might feel like nobody's for you. Nobody's walking through life with you. Nobody understands what's going on. God does totally. But then there's a family of people that are together that want to do life with you. Don't miss this moment. This is a beautiful moment between you and Jesus, but it can also be a beautiful moment between you and some people that are going to be your friends the rest of your life. That's what we want this church to be, and that's what this church is. So I know we didn't do like a typical kind of altar thing for those of us that have been in church before. We're trying to do the best that we can to be wise and to do all the restrictions and whatever else, right? That if you want to, you're welcome. We got sanitizer all over the building. You can put sanitizer all over those tickets, and they're good. Whatever you feel like, great, do it, right? But we want to connect. So what that means is we got a number, 972-945-9772. Text us, text Jesus. We will plug you into the best friendships in your life. You do that today, we will connect with you. We'll tell you about Pastor Buddy and Vicky and our marriage ministry. We'll tell you about our freedom groups we got going on. We'll tell you about our youth ministry, our kids ministry, all the different things that are happening in our world. If you're brand new in this room and you want to meet us face to face, there's a room right up here called the conference room. And we got some leaders in there who'd love to connect with you, love to get to know you. Some of y'all, you need to, like all of us, Dance Revolution's got stuff in the lobby, and we love them and their family here. They haven't been able to travel as much as they like this year. This is what they do full time. Buy their table out, get a bunch of their stuff, support them 100% because they are changing the world and they're a part of this. So make sure you don't miss that. And man, that was better than any message, right? Don't tell Pastor Keith I said that. Put your hands up in the air. I'm going to bless you out. Say this with me if you know it. May the Lord bless you and may he keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you. May you know that if God is for you, then who can be against you? If God is on your side, then whom shall you fear? May you be like a tree that's planted by rivers of living water, that your leaf will not wither. And whatsoever you do, say it like you mean it. It shall prosper. Have a great week.